What would make The Undertaker come back? Not for a nostalgia moment. Not for a special appearance. Not for a crowd pop that fades the moment the show ends. What situation in professional wrestling would be serious enough, significant enough, and important enough to bring the most legendary figure this business has ever produced back into active competition one more time? Because The Undertaker does not come back for small reasons. He never has. Every single time that gong has hit in recent years, it has meant something real. Something that went beyond entertainment and entered the territory of genuine necessity. The dead man does not walk through that curtain unless the reason for walking through it is worth the weight of everything his name carries. And on this night, that reason was standing right beside him. Roman Reigns needed The Undertaker. And The Undertaker answered. And what happened next inside that ring to Drew McIntyre and Sheamus was not a match. It was not a segment. It was not a produced television moment designed to generate social media conversation. It was a warning delivered by two of the most powerful forces professional wrestling has ever seen standing side by side for the very first time. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus received that warning personally, physically, and completely. And by the time this breakdown is finished, you will understand every single reason why The Undertaker chose this moment, this man, and this fight to make his return mean exactly what it needed to mean. Stay right here, because this is the most important thing that has happened in WWE in a very long time. The arena went completely dark before any of this happened. Not the dramatic kind of darkness that WWE uses before a planned entrance. Not the production darkness that builds anticipation for something the crowd already expects. Complete, total, unannounced darkness that made 12,000 people go silent at exactly the same moment because nobody knew what was coming, and every single person in that building could feel in their chest that something was different about this particular moment. And then the gong hit. One single sound. The most recognizable entrance music in the history of professional wrestling, filling every corner of that arena and turning the silence into something that can only be described as a collective human explosion. People were on their feet before their brains had finished processing what their ears had just heard. Because the body responds to that sound before the mind does. It bypasses logic completely. It goes straight to the part of you that has loved professional wrestling since the first time you ever watched it, and it squeezes that part so hard that your eyes fill up and your voice comes out whether you planned it to or not. The Undertaker was back. But that was not even the most shocking part of what happened next. Because when the lights came back on, when that arena transitioned from complete darkness back into the full blinding brightness of a WWE production running at maximum power, The Undertaker was not alone. Standing right beside him, shoulder to shoulder, carrying the same energy and the same absolute authority, was Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, the most dominant force in modern WWE history, standing next to the most legendary force in WWE history. 2 generations of complete domination united in one single image that nobody in professional wrestling saw coming. And standing across from them in that ring were Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. 2 of the toughest, most battle-hardened, most legitimately dangerous warriors on the entire WWE roster. Men who have never been afraid of anything or anyone in their entire careers. Men whose entire identity is built on the fact that they do not back down from anyone on this planet. They looked afraid, not performing afraid, not working for the camera afraid. Genuinely, authentically, completely afraid in the way that only happens when a person is standing in front of something that the body recognizes as beyond what any preparation could have readied them for. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus did not just lose a tag team match. They were destroyed systematically, comprehensively, and with a level of coordinated brutality that left them lying in that ring looking like the aftermath of something that goes beyond professional wrestling competition and enters the territory of genuine domination. The kind of domination that does not just defeat opponents. It breaks something in them. It takes the confidence, the toughness, the carefully built belief that they can stand with anyone on this planet, and crushes it completely under the weight of a combination that should not exist but is more terrifying for existing than anything either of them had ever faced before. The fans in that arena who came expecting a match and received something closer to a public execution lost their minds in a way that building has not experienced in a very long time. Because The Undertaker returning to stand alongside Roman Reigns is not just a tag team match result. It is a statement. It is a declaration. Two of the most powerful forces this company has ever produced deciding that this was the night they would combine those forces and point them at Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. And the result was exactly as one-sided, exactly as devastating, and exactly as historically significant as the combination itself promised it would be. Now let us talk about the match itself. Because what The Undertaker and Roman Reigns did to Drew McIntyre and Sheamus inside that ring was not just a victory. It was a masterclass in coordinated domination that deserves to be fully understood for the statement it made beyond the final result. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus are not easy opponents. Let that be absolutely clear before going any further, because neither man deserves to have his ability disrespected in the context of analyzing what happened to them. Drew McIntyre is a former WWE champion whose physical force makes trained athletes genuinely nervous. Sheamus is one of the toughest and most hard-hitting superstars this company has employed in the modern era. These are not opponents who were chosen because they would fall over easily. They were chosen because destroying them means something. Roman Reigns used his physical dominance and ring intelligence to deny Drew McIntyre and Sheamus any opportunity to find their rhythm. The Undertaker, operating with the measured economic power of someone who has spent decades understanding exactly how to apply force for maximum effect, was a presence that neither opponent could fully account for even when he was standing on the ring apron. His proximity changes the psychology of everything happening in the ring. His presence is a factor even when he is not the legal man. Together they were immovable. Together they were inevitable. And when the end came, it came with the kind of definitive, emphatic authority that left zero room for Drew McIntyre or Sheamus to claim bad luck or difficult circumstances. They were beaten by something bigger than them. And they knew it before the 3 count even landed. Here is the question that every wrestling fan watching immediately started asking. Why is The Undertaker standing beside Roman Reigns? What is the relationship between these two men that produces this specific alignment? And what does The Undertaker's decision to return specifically to partner with Roman Reigns tell us about where this story is headed? The Undertaker does not make appearances casually. Every single return in the later stages of his career has been deliberate and purposeful, driven by a specific reason significant enough to bring the most legendary performer in WWE history back into an active capacity. He does not show up for nostalgia. He does not show up for a quick payday. He shows up when there is something worth showing up for. Roman Reigns is worth showing up for. Not just as a performer. The Roman status as the most dominant and most important superstar of his generation makes him a worthy reason on those grounds alone. But as a figure, as a legacy, as a man who carries the weight of a family name and a championship history that parallels The Undertaker's own legendary status in terms of the gravity it carries within WWE. These are two men who understand dominance not as a temporary condition, but as a permanent identity. Two men who have both held the most important positions available in this company and who both understand that protecting those positions from the kind of unchecked aggression that Drew McIntyre and Sheamus have been unleashing is something that goes beyond individual rivalries and championship pictures. The Undertaker did not come back for a match. He came back for a reason. And Roman Reigns is that reason. Now let us talk about the fallout. Because The Undertaker and Roman Reigns standing together and destroying Drew McIntyre and Sheamus does not just affect those two men. It sends a message to every single superstar currently operating in WWE that the landscape just shifted in a fundamental and deeply uncomfortable way. Drew McIntyre has spent recent months operating with a level of confidence and aggression that suggested he believed himself beyond the reach of any consequence WWE could produce for his behavior. He has been reckless. He has been destructive. Every other superstar watching from backstage or from home is doing the same calculation right now. They are measuring themselves against the combination of The Undertaker and Roman Reigns and arriving at the same uncomfortable conclusion that Drew McIntyre and Sheamus arrived at physically in that ring. There is no winning that combination. There is no preparation adequate for what those two men bring together. And there is no position in WWE currently secure enough to feel completely safe knowing that The Undertaker and Roman Reigns have allied. The entire locker room just became smaller and more dangerous at exactly the same time. The Undertaker chose to come back. He chose Roman Reigns. He chose this fight. And Drew McIntyre and Sheamus found out in the most direct and most permanent way possible what that choice means for anyone standing on the wrong side of it. The Deadman has returned. The tribal chief has his most powerful ally. And professional wrestling will never look exactly the same again. This is Ring Rumble 1. And this story is only just beginning.